So yay, Kerbal Space Program! Isn't it amazing? I've actually not been playing Kerbal Space Program for quite some time, since the 1.0 update, because it basically broke all my craft, and I had some pretty good craft I spent sometimes even years perfecting. So when they released the 1.0 with the new atmospheric systems and everything like that, kind of took away a lot of the fun I had with the game, especially building SSTOs, which was my passion. But anyway, I've been playing it a lot lately. In the past month, I've actually had a project. I wanted to build a huge ship that could travel to different planets or moons and everything, and conduct all types of research and resource gathering and utilizing all the new stuff that came with the 1.0 update. So my first step I'm going to show you here was to create an SSTO, and I had a lot of trouble after the 1.0 update to create SSTOs because all the atmospheric conditions was completely changed from what I was used to. So all my favorite techniques and even the crafts I built before was completely useless. So after a lot of trial and error, I finally managed to create one. This is the Bermuda class SSTO. I have two versions of this actually. One is the cargo version with a larger cargo bay. See, here we go, it's open down here, and it can actually carry a resource scanner, survey scanner into orbit. And I really like this design. It's very like hot rod, very fast. And I really like the idea of using this rear landing gear to make sure I don't hit the engines, and it works fairly well. It's a pleasure to fly. I actually quite like how this maneuvers, at least when it's full on fuel. It's very nice. It looks nice too. I like this aircraft. So I don't want to go too fast because it's gonna be a pain in the ass to slow this baby down. Okay, maybe we should turn, maybe not. Wait a little bit. Patience, patience. Okay, let's brake right or left. No, wait, right. Oh, good thing I got this sorted out. Yay, we're turning, and the engine's losing power because we're turning fast. I really like how this turn. It's really, really good. It's easy to fly. Gear down. Let's go in for the last turn here. Oh yeah, yes, no wait, too much, too little. Air brakes off with power. Oh, this mic, oh no, full power, no, oh, this is not gonna end well. Oh wait, no wait, oh, we're good, we're still good. We're still a bit airborne. Oh, we're not good, we're not good. Well, we were good a few seconds, then we weren't so good, and then we were good again, and then we weren't good after that either. Everyone died. Well, that's usually how it goes. But it is very difficult to get into orbit. You need to be very precise with your maneuvering, and when to, accelerate, and when to gain altitude, and so on. And once you reach orbit, you really can't do much. You're basically just, you're almost out of fuel, and that wasn't good enough for me. So eventually I built this rather ugly. Let's see if I can find it here. There we go. Tsubame class Mark II shuttle. The first one was a spectacular failure. We're not going to look at that. But this is the first SSTO I've built that actually does what I wanted to do. It goes up to space, and once it reaches space, it actually has a decent amount of fuel left, so you can do maneuvering. You can dock with high orbit space stations or spaceships, and it seats 3 Kerbals, which was the minimum amount. I need to be able to get up 3 Kerbals in one go. So this is how it looked like to do. I'm just gonna go up to Space Center and actually show you that I managed to get it into orbit. Unfortunately, the footage I recorded while getting it into orbit for this version here got lost, or rather it was corrupted. Somehow it didn't get saved properly. I'm not really familiar with Shadowplay. I'm not as good as using Shadowplay yet. So here we have it. The shuttlecraft with 3 Kerbals, Lolas, Valentina, and Mirabel. All very happy to. So my next vehicle I needed to build was something that could land on lunar or surfaces or satellites, like Mun or Minimus. So there we go, and this lander should have enough fuel to be able to land just nicely on Minmus and Mun and go back. It's not very heavy. It only has, the fuels and the fairly light rover. I'm going to show you how it works right now. Let's see if I can undock it. Oh, shaky, shaky. Let's see. Come on. A couple node. There we go. Switching to rover here, and as you can see, it has a nice light too, and it's actually fairly fun to run around with. I think in the latest version, which I have attached to my spaceship, I can turn all wheels, but it's fairly maneuverable and very stable actually. So you can drive around with this. Whee! And the cool thing with this is that you can dock with the height here is adjusted so you can actually dock. So you can also fairly easily dock with this thing just by moving inside here. You can see it starts gathering up, and we should have dock fairly soon. There we go. See, docks up just fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we have it, the Hyperion class exploration vehicle. As you can see from the cupola here, it's very big actually. And I named it after Jim Raynor from StarCraft. His flagship is called the Hyperion, and I designed it to look similar to the battlecruiser from StarCraft actually. That's the name Hyperion. It is quite well equipped, but as you can probably see, it's also very laggy. So just, it being empty. By the way, here is the docking bay for the shuttlecraft. As you can see here, I have spaced this out perfectly to allow for docking with the shuttlecraft, so it can bring the shuttlecraft with it if it wants to. And it has quite a lot of features, but I'm going to show you that in the VAB, or the vehicle assembly building, since it's quite laggy here up in space. So here we have the Hyperion class exploration vehicle, and it's got actually quite a lot of features in it. Perhaps a little bit too much, since it's quite laggy once you try to use it effectively. Up in the front here we have what I would like to call tugs. Basically monopropellant powered drone crafts with a claw in it. I'm not quite sure what I want to use them with, but I'm thinking, if we look here in the hangar bay, I have two planetary survey or surface scanners, survey scanners. What are they called actually? Survey scanners. So I have two survey scanners here, and my thinking is that since this big ship is quite difficult to maneuver around and takes a lot of time, I could use this tug and attach it to this one, and then move it into a polar orbit and move it back, and then return it to the ship. Both the survey scanner and the tug is carrying quite a lot of monopropellant, and as you can see, the ship is equipped with a lot of monopropellant to supply these crafts for a long period of time. Now the rest of the forward section here is basically just empty hull to get it the shape and look that I wanted it to be. But they could be used as reserve tanks for longer journeys. As you'll notice, most of the craft, or most of the spaceship, is very symmetric, with the exception of the hangar bay, which on the upside here goes up a little bit and opens up like this, but is very flat on the underside. Other than that, it is mostly symmetric. It has two crew cabins for a crew of 8, as well as 3 cupolas that can be used. So my thinking is this spaceship doesn't really need more than 4 Kerbals to operate. So it would have the captain sitting up here, and then the shuttlecraft will bring the 3 other Kerbals up here, and they can take turns staying in these crew cabins. And if they want some private time, we have the cupolas here they can rest in and look outside. Moving further down the neck, we have a couple of cargo bays here. Now the back ones, now this is exactly the same on the downside, completely mirrored, so it will look the same. We have probes basically there. Since this ship doesn't carry anything that can land on a surface that has atmosphere in it, because I want all my crafts to be retrievable, go up and go down. So because my lander can only land on small satellites like Mun or Minmus, I wanted to still be able to go, for example, to the outer planets that has atmosphere and be able to drop probes. And they have some scientific equipment on them as well, and the solar panels and RCS. Back here we have the reserve power generators in case we are out of fuel and we cannot access any of the solar panels. These things should be enough to keep the ship on emergency power. And these ports here are basically my idea of expandability. If I in the future want to attach or add stuff to the ship, I figured this might be a good place to do it. So they are attached on this steel bar here, and I measured it so they are precisely aligned with the steel bar, so it will be easy for me to build something that can fit and attach to this. So if I wanted to expand it with additional fuel or engines or whatever crafts I wanted to attach, this would be done here. If you look here, we recognize immediately the lunar lander, or the Triton class lander. It has a couple of upgrades compared to the version I just showed you, which is the lighting here for increased visibility, and a couple of docking ports. I also thought about expandability for the lunar lander, or the Triton class lander, by maybe adding fuel or engines or equipment on these things, and I could probably attach them here and then use the tug to move them around and attach them to the lander if I wanted to. Right under the lander we have a refinery with a large docking bay on, and that is for use with this, which is experimental. I have never tested this, so I have no idea if this works or not, but it's my plan is to using this on a very low gravity satellites like Minmus, where the fuel and the engine is powerful enough to get it down and get it back up again with a full tank. I actually managed to get all of this into orbit with this equipment, fully fueled, the lander and everything. So about launching it, I'm going to show you a couple of clips of me trying to launch this into space and finally succeeding. And of course, as with every launch in Kerbal Space Program, there's some explosions and then Kerbals getting killed in action.
So, getting this into space was, as always, easier said than done when you're talking about Kerbal Space Program. Luckily, the new atmospheric systems didn't affect me anyway when I'm trying to get it up, so at least that's something. And as you can see here, a couple of my tries didn't really go as planned. I had trouble with the staging and everything, and well, yeah, this is what happens when you act first and think later. Kaboom! Surprisingly, the neck, or most of the ship that was still intact, was still working. I could open the cargo bay, and I was actually thinking if I should try right here now to transfer my pilot and see if I could land with the lunar lander on the surface of Kerbal, but eventually I decided I would. I wanted to get this up into space. I didn't want to play around, but it would be interesting to see if I'd actually managed to save the Kerbal. Since you can see the RCS is working on what's left of the ship. Well, eventually I decided to give up on this one and try again. If at first don't succeed, try again. So this is, I think, my second or third attempt on getting it up, and once again staging issues and not having launched a big rocket or anything like that for quite a while in Kerbal Space Program kind of gave me some problem with it. Overall, the main launch was actually quite boring. I think I had 5 or 6 tries before I got it right. And well, yeah, as you can see here, I'm a little bit too eager to launch stages, and well, once again things go up in flames. But other than those two issues, it was just a matter of getting, you know, the inclination correct and just having the right amount of fuel. So it's actually more trial and error as usual. And here we see the final attempt on getting this up into orbit and releasing the rockets. I've learned from my mistakes, getting all the rockets cleared nice and easy from the main craft, and the massive 2 engines, it's gonna pull it the rest of the way. It's powering through here. And eventually I managed to reach orbit. Almost ran out of fuel. I had to send up a big refueling ship later. I got some footage of that, but it's not very interesting. It's me docking with a big fuel tank. It's not particularly exceptional or difficult in any way. So here we have it, the Hyperion up in space, and some beauty shots of it extending the solar panels. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon again. Bye.